Palworld has changed gaming forever. If I were the developers of any Pokemon games, I would be absolutely shaking in my boots right now. I would be crying and throwing up on my boss at Nintendo. Palworld has done what Game Freak refuses to do for whatever reason. Yeah, Nintendo and Game Freak are the ones on the hot seat right now with the success of Palworld, but don't think I don't see you guys. The success of Palworld should be making every major developer rethink their existence right now. AAA companies nowadays think that they're going to get away with just reskinning the exact same game and reselling it for full price without putting any effort whatsoever towards the game. Take Pokemon specifically right now. The last 10 years worth of Pokemon games have been a carbon copy of each other with minimal effort. It seems like my 13-year-old sibling made that shit in class. Yet the company puts out another awful copy and it makes money. Not anymore though. Palworld is smashing records, selling a truly stupid amount of copies, as well as it's the second game ever to break 2 million active players on Steam, second only to PUBG. This is literally an indie game. This isn't a AAA studio that did this. A non-AAA studio just made a game that works better, is more fun, looks better, and is more innovative than any recent AAA game. This game has completely exposed the industry. How are games like Call of Duty constantly having server issues when Palworld works extremely well in its early access? Obviously there are bugs. I'm not saying Palworld is bug-free and works perfectly, but I would confidently say it works better than damn COD. How is it that Palworld looks great, that the game is innovative and feels fresh, that the game is addictive and fun, yet billion-dollar studios can't seem to provide games that are even half as fun as this game, and they end up just not working? Palworld exposed these big studios. None of the big guys have made a game like Palworld in the last decade. Instead, they've been chilling out shit. For whatever reason, Game Freak specifically refuses to make Pokemon games that are this innovative. They're all the exact same games, and they keep reskinning and charging full price. Now, someone stepped in and did what they couldn't do. They made an open world Pokemon game that works incredibly well and it's actually fun. This is one of the better survival games I've played with great survival aspects and crafting aspects. And it's far better than any Pokemon game I've played in the last 10 years, and I'm obviously not the only one who thinks so judging by these numbers. This should make anyone that has bought a Call of Duty game, Overwatch 2, any of the Madden or 2K games pissed. Because half of the time these games don't work the way they should upon release, or miraculously if they are working, it's the same game as the year prior. There is zero innovation, yet it's $70 more. I think these big companies have just tried to brainwash us into thinking that it's near impossible to innovate and that it's really hard to make games and people just don't understand. So that way we don't bitch as much when the game comes out and it's not working, or we're just staring at loading screens every time we try to fucking move. When in reality, the company just wants to make as much money as they possibly can while putting in the least amount of effort. Companies don't want to update their engine. Why would they? It costs money. Let's just throw a band-aid on it and then release a dated game anyways. Or let's just release the same game that kind of works and looks really good, but we'll reskin it and sell it for a full price game. Activision back in the Black Ops 1 and 2 days really tried on their games. They made innovative maps, guns, and modes. They really worked hard on it. Then they realized that people will buy the game literally no matter what, and all they have to do is reskin the same game as the year prior. So here we are on the 5th year of literally the same COD game because they're making money from doing zero effort whatsoever. They're just big companies trying to gaslight the consumer into thinking it's harder than it actually is to innovate. It just takes time and money, two things they don't want to sacrifice because they're making the money anyways. Well, now with Palworld, we get a game that's 50 times better than any recent AAA title for half the price, and it works extremely well. But the thing about Palworld that really hits home is that they're taking pre-existing game concepts and just making it so much better. They're not even really innovating. They're just doing what these companies refuse to do. Pokemon is a genre that already exists. Game Freak just fucking sucks at making the games. So the fact that Palworld comes along and takes the Pokemon concept and just makes it so much better is hilarious to me. Think of how much money Nintendo and Game Freak would have made if they just fucking tried to innovate instead of reskinning the games. Palworld just showed the world that it is possible to innovate and make a game that actually works. And they did it without a billion-dollar corporate giant funding them. The timing of Palworld's release could not be more detrimental to these big game studios. We just saw the success of Baldur's Gate 3, which had a very similar feeling as Palworld. The feeling of, why the fuck is this game so good, yet a company with 300 times the amount of money hasn't given me anything good in the last 10 years. Baldur's Gate 3 railed these companies in the ass without consent, so hard that they had to start coping, coming up with excuses like this. Then, a game like Lethal Company comes out shortly after. Shitty graphics, extremely simple gameplay, but so ridiculously fun because someone put more than 3 seconds of thought into it. Now, you have Palworld, taking a mixture of games that already exist, just doing it so much better that it breaks multiple records. I would be on suicide watch right now if I was the head of Activision or EA. Everyone, if you are watching this, it is now our job to make sure that this changes the industry. If we keep buying the new COD games, keep on funding the Overwatch 2s of the world, where they're literally releasing the exact same game, nothing is going to change. Games like Palworld, Lethal Company, Baldur's Gate 3, and the finals are proof that we deserve better than what we are getting from these billion-dollar studios. With $1 billion, we should be getting games that make Palworld look like ass, not the other way around. Now is the time. We have the proof. We have these good games to occupy our time while we don't buy into Activision's new releases. Games like The Finals are 450 times better than COD. Games like Palworld are 50 times better than any Pokemon games or any survival game on the market. Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the best RPG that you could play right now. Keep on playing these good games and rewarding the companies, not Activision and EA and so on. Palworld is great fun. The game is awesome, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't have taken this much time to get a game like this. It shouldn't have taken some indie dev to strong-arm Nintendo to give us a non-shitty Pokemon game. This game wasn't that hard to make. It's a pretty basic survival game with a Pokemon aspect. Is it fun? Yes, it's absolutely fun, but it's pretty damn simple. Why are we just now getting a game like this after paying a very expensive premium for games that are far worse from these big companies? As long as we stop paying for these dumbass AAA games, we will start to get better games. Anyways, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Make sure to subscribe. I'm live every weekend without fail, and I post videos on tons of different games. What do you guys think about the success of Palworld? I would love to hear about it in the comment section below. Check out my video on why the finals is so good right now.